White woman takes the seat of the black boy and finds out he's the son of the heir. Beginning. The shuttle platform gleamed in the morning sun, polished steel and blue-white glass panels reflecting the thousands of travelers streaming toward the waiting vessel. Sierra Donnelly walked quickly, her pale blonde hair bouncing over the shoulders of her crisp white blazer. Her shoes clicked loudly against the floor as she glanced at her watch. She was late. Final boarding for Shuttle Orion 57, departing for New Haven orbit in 7 minutes, a pleasant, computerized female voice announced overhead. She sighed in relief. 7 minutes was enough, if she moved fast. Sierra had no intention of missing her flight. Today wasn't just any ordinary business trip, it was the day she would present her proposal to the Aeronautical Infrastructure Review, the AIR, the world's most powerful technological council. Securing their approval could elevate her from a mid-tier aerospace executive to one of the most influential figures in orbital development. Her ticket was premium class, front row, with enhanced viewing windows. She had paid extra for it, and she intended to enjoy it. But when she reached the entrance to her assigned seat, she froze. A young black boy was sitting there. He couldn't have been older than 12 or 13. He wore simple cargo pants and a hooded jacket, frayed at the edges. His shoes looked too big for his feet. Yet his posture was straight, regal almost, and his dark eyes carried a depth that unsettled her. "Excuse me," Sierra said briskly, tapping her wrist console to display her ticket. "You're in my seat." The boy looked up slowly. "No," he said softly, voice calm but firm. "This seat was saved for me." Sierra frowned. "That's impossible." "Look, row 1, seat A. That's mine." The boy didn't argue. He simply shifted his gaze toward the window, watching the sunlight glint off the shuttle's wings. "You may sit here if you wish," he said finally, "but the seat isn't what you think it is." Sierra's irritation flared. What kind of nonsense is this? She thought about calling a flight attendant but then decided against it. If this boy wanted to make trouble, fine. She'd sit down and let security handle it after takeoff. With a sharp huff, Sierra slid into the seat beside him. She had no idea that by taking that seat, she was stepping into a story far greater than her presentation, her career, or even her life itself. Middle. The shuttle launched with a thunderous roar, pressing passengers into their chairs as the engines fired. Sierra loved this moment, the surge of acceleration, the blue curve of Earth dropping away beneath her, the stars opening above like scattered diamonds. But next to her, the boy didn't flinch. He sat upright, eyes unblinking, hands resting calmly in his lap. He seemed expectant, as if he had seen launches 1,000 times. Sierra glanced sideways. "Where are your parents? Did they let you travel alone?" The boy smiled faintly. "My parents are gone. But I was never truly alone. The air carries me." She tilted her head. "The air?" "Yes," he said simply. "The air that moves through all things. It speaks. It remembers. It breathes life into worlds. My father was its guardian. And one day, I will be." Sierra blinked, trying to hide her confusion. Some kind of orphan with delusions? She thought. She turned back to her screen, dismissing him. But moments later, alarms blared. The shuttle jolted violently, sending gasps through the cabin. "Warning, unexpected turbulence," the computerized voice announced. Stabilizers disengaged. The vessel shook again, harder this time. Lights flickered. Passengers screamed. Sierra's stomach dropped. This isn't normal turbulence. She had flown countless times, and she knew the difference between rough air and catastrophic failure. A metallic groan echoed through the ship, and then, silence. The engines cut out. The shuttle drifted, powerless, into the void. Panic spread like wildfire. People shouted, some praying, others trying to access their wrist consoles. The flight crew rushed down the aisles, issuing reassurances they themselves didn't seem to believe. Beside her, the boy sat calm as ever. Sierra grabbed his arm. "Do you not understand? We're going to die if they can't restart the engines." The boy looked at her. His gaze was steady, almost too steady for someone his age. "No," he said softly. "We won't die. Not today. The air won't allow it." Before Sierra could respond, a strange vibration filled the cabin. At first, she thought it was her imagination. But soon, others noticed. The passengers grew quiet as the hum intensified, like 1,000 whispers overlapping in harmony. The boy stood. No one stopped him. It was as though the entire shuttle had become an audience, waiting. He placed his hand against the cabin wall. The metal seemed to breathe beneath his touch. The hum deepened, resonating through the ship's skeleton. Then, impossibly, the shuttle shifted course, without engines, without thrusters. As though invisible hands were guiding it. Gasps filled the cabin. Someone whispered, "What's happening?" The boy closed his eyes. His voice carried, low but clear. "My father gave his life to guard the currents of the sky. They flow through me now. You feel powerless, but the air carries us all, even here, in the void where breath does not belong. The air is memory. The air is strength. And I am its son." Sierra's jaw went slack. She had mocked him minutes ago, brushed him off as a child with fantasies. But now, she could see it, feel it. The air, somehow alive, weaving through every molecule of the ship, cradling it like a child in its arms. The shuttle drifted smoothly toward New Haven orbit, guided by an unseen force. When the engines finally sputtered back to life, the pilots didn't cheer. They stared in awe, whispering to each other. They knew what had just saved them wasn't their doing. Sierra turned slowly to the boy. Who are you really?" He opened his eyes, dark and steady. "My name is Kale. My father was Aiton, guardian of the currents, protector of the air. He died before I was born, giving his essence to keep the skies safe. My mother raised me in silence, teaching me to listen. Now the air waits for me." Sierra's heart pounded. The air, she had been preparing for months to present to them, desperate to earn their favor. But this boy, he wasn't just seeking their approval. He was their heir. For the first time in her career, Sierra felt small. Ending. When the shuttle docked at New Haven orbit, security and dignitaries were already waiting. Somehow, they knew. The moment Kale stepped off, they bowed, not out of duty, but reverence. Whispers spread through the terminal. "The son of the air. The air has returned." Sierra followed in a daze. She had thought this trip would define her career. Now, she was just a footnote in someone else's destiny. Later, when she was summoned to deliver her presentation, she entered the Great Hall of the Air Council. But instead of the polished executives she expected, she found Kale at the center, seated on a raised platform. His hood was gone, revealing a simple circlet of silver across his brow. The counselors addressed him not as a child, but as their leader. "Guardian Kale," one said, voice trembling with respect. Sierra's knees went weak. She realized the truth, she hadn't simply sat in a random boy's seat. She had taken the place of destiny's chosen heir. And yet, Kale had allowed it, calm, patient, as though testing whether she would see beyond her own ambition. When her turn came to speak, Sierra found her voice faltering. Her polished charts and figures suddenly felt irrelevant. She looked at Kale, who met her gaze with quiet strength. And for the first time, Sierra abandoned her rehearsed speech. Instead, she said, "We build machines to conquer the air, to dominate the skies. But today, I learned something greater, that the air is not ours to control. It is alive. It chooses. And perhaps our task is not to conquer it, but to serve it. Silence filled the hall. Then, slowly, Cale nodded. You have listened, he said softly. Few do. Sierra bowed her head, humbled. She understood then that she hadn't lost her purpose. She had found a truer one, not in climbing corporate ladders, but in protecting the very essence that sustained all life. As she left the chamber, the stars gleamed outside the orbital windows, vast and infinite. Sierra no longer saw them as resources to be mined, or skies to be conquered. She saw them as breath itself, flowing, eternal. And somewhere within, she carried the memory of a boy who wasn't just a passenger, but the son of the air.